I'd like to introduce Bob Coppedge, CEO, owner of Simplex IT, and a mutual customer of ours. Bob, are you there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been around for about 6 years or so. We are a managed service provider from the get-go, so we're not a break fix or project group that then migrated over to managed service. We were set up that way to start with. Blah, blah, blah. This gives all the metrics as far as the size and all that good fun stuff goes. One of the key things that I want to talk about here regarding our experience with the whole tool suite, which I truly can't do PowerPoints, is that 2/3 of our customers, and right now we're about 50 companies that we have some kind of recurring revenue agreement, whether it's monitoring only all the way up to all you can eat. 2/3 of them have come to us not because of a technical challenge or issue that they had, but because they had a poor relationship with whoever their status quo was, whether that be an internal source or a third party that was doing their service. And that was whether it be poor communication, poor delivery of the services. There just was not that relationship. And so one of the key things that we do, top to bottom, A to Z, all points across it, is we talk about the relationship. We manage the relationship, and we want to show and demonstrate that we're not like the other guys. And we've been fairly successful with that. And, we do monthly luncheonars. We've been doing those for 5 years. We do a newsletter, none of which is selling, which is basically us sharing information. And that's one of the key things is, from an IT perspective, a lot of us get buried in data. Data is absolutely useless, especially when you're talking to potential clients. A lot of the tools that are out there will just give you total dumps of event logs, of WMI metrics, of numbers and buzzwords and three-letter acronyms and all that kind of stuff. Well, business owners don't care. The business owners are the people, the decision makers that we're talking to, the non-IT people. They basically want their stuff to work. They want to know that it is healthy, that it is working. So we have to take that data and turn that into information. Information has value. Data doesn't. And one of the things that we absolutely love from the network detective standpoint, God, it sounds like freaking infomercial, which, okay, but is the fact that they do that in a very standardized way. So we can look at, and we actually had a situation earlier this week with exactly the same thing. There was a small manufacturing company where there was a non-IT person who was responsible for IT. We were able to show them that look at all the former employees that can still get access to your network with very, very little investment on our time, on our part, because we simply used the tool. And it did so, it communicated it to the potential client in a very clear, concise manner with a pie chart, with a visual, here's good, here's bad, any questions. So we're able to take a lot of those convoluted, geekoid types of questions or types of situations and automatically put that into a format that's deliverable, that communicates information. And especially when we're talking to potential clients that are coming off that bad romance with the former MSP, they never told us anything. They never shared information. They never did this. Well, here's 10 pages of reports we'd like to go over with you with this information. We're already showing we're the good guys, okay? And the nice thing is that there are clients who have special situations, whether it be special applications, vertical apps, whatever, that we truly do need to take a look at when we're doing an assessment. This frees our time up with the simple stuff so that we can actually make the investment where it actually counts, where that customer actually needs some help. So this works very, very nicely, and the fact that it's non-invasive. Do no harm. We're going to come in, we're going to gather information, we're going to gather data, and then we're going to convert that to information so that you can use it. It's very, very compelling. And from a salesperson standpoint, our salesman can actually deal with the product because they know, it's the same reports. So once we've gone through that learning curve, they can move on. What this has allowed us to do is to essentially come up with kind of a triage program. When we get a potential lead, we can, with a couple of questions, basically just size questions. Okay, which category do they run into? Do they run into a low level, which is, a server and a couple workstations? We can do that. We don't really need to do much of an evaluation at all. We're comfortable enough with a few questions, and no problem. If they're a mid-level, okay, we want to actually do the on-site evaluation. We want to go through, and we'll run the network detective. We'll generate the reports. If they're a high level, and this is, from our perspective here, this is an arbitrary number. You decide where the value is. We actually want to then put in an RMM. We're a level platforms partner. We'll put in the RMM so we can just do that with the server. We don't have to touch the desktop there either. And we'll do that for a week or so. Then we can come back with the snapshot basis, where we could say, here's the snapshot. Here are the reports, the information we have about your network. And then here's the day-to-day operational information we can give you. So we're giving you kind of a strategic look at first, and then a tactical day-to-day operational look. And we can share both of those pieces of information with our clients. That means that within a few minutes conversation, we know which of these three categories a potential client's going to come into. Our office manager can immediately say, here are the resources we're going to need, here's everybody's calendar, we're going to do it. And so on. The salesperson can contact and talk with the potential client and say, here, we're going to need 3 appointments or 2 appointments or just 1 appointment. Let's set them up in the calendar, make sure we've got the decision makers in place, and we can give you value. Okay, so it's a very streamlined method of dealing with an issue that, again, I cannot stress enough. We're actually passing on information that is usable in a manner that's going to be usable to business owners, which really is, we differentiate against our competition, which is absolutely critical. Okay? What do we run? We run everything. Why? Why the heck not? So we have all of that information that's available to us. But then we take a look at the reports, and we'll decide which reports are going to be the most valuable based on what we see. And I want to be real clear here now. We do not go in saying, we're trying to scare the bejeebers out of them, because they probably get that from the other guys. But what we can do is we can use that information to say, here's the risk. Here's why you should care. Here's why you shouldn't care. You've got an XP machine. That XP machine is in the front office. It's collecting email. It's web browsing. Ooh, boy, you're going to be in trouble. That XP machine is out on the shop floor. It's connected to a piece of equipment that would cost $40,000 to upgrade, and it doesn't do email. It doesn't collect anything. We're going to be okay, but we need to watch it a little bit. Okay? We can decide based on the information that we get. And then we don't hold back. We don't hold back, and reason being, again, we want to differentiate. We want to be the guys. We share our information. And we literally tell them, if you're talking to other companies, if you want to share that information with the competition, it's okay for you to do this, but I ask you to consider this one question. Why can't they get this information on their own? Or why aren't they offering to get this information for you on their own? Because we're not selling that information. We're selling our services. We're selling our relationship to help them move forward. Okay, and again, I want to be clear, that's our mindset. This is actually a true picture of a client who had a raised computer floor, and when we pulled off a couple of tiles, this was what was underneath. And what this doesn't show is that there was zero airflow underneath the floor, because this was stuck, and they had no idea what any of the wires were for, what any of the cables were for. They were drawing power. And there was communication lights, LEDs going off. And the previous IT support folks had never communicated to them that any of this stuff even existed. And their network was exactly the same way.
Bob, is this a real picture?
This is a real picture.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Awesome.
And it's been great, because we were able to show the management when they said, wow, why is it going to be so difficult to fix everything? We were able to show them this picture and say, this is your network. This is just the physical representation of it. But that picture, that visual, that graphic, it was like, okay, we understand now. And for us to be able to do the same thing, where we can represent, instead of, let me show you a list of users who haven't logged on in 36 days. No, let me show you a chart which gives you a breakdown of the numbers. If you want the list, I can get you the list, or we can, in addition to that. But that picture is worth 1,000 words. So we're giving them a clearly defined narrative. Here's our delivery to you. Here is your scenario. We're going to communicate this effectively and efficiently to you without speaking down to you, without using TLAs, without using geek-speak. We're going to communicate to you, and then we're going to offer a path out of it. But it's going to be a clear-cut path. And if you want more information, we will get you more information. If you want to just trust us, but we'll show you in a week or a month or whatever how much we've improved, we'll be able to do this because this is your copy. And part of the challenge is that every MSP or every service provider is going to sit across the table from that potential client and go, trust us. We're going to take care of you. We care about service. We care about quality, blah, blah, blah. No one is going to sit across and go, we really hope to pay us a lot of money and we don't have to do much because that would be really cool. So how do you differentiate yourself? And providing the value. One of the two things we always listen for when we talk to potential clients, especially the higher up the food chain they are, is one thing they say, it shouldn't be this hard when they're talking about their IT. And the second is, it should just work. When we hear those two statements, that tells us they want us, they need us, because they're looking for someone to make that aspect of their organization easier, which is what we're all about. Yes, only one slide. Again, I want to kind of like summarize up this aspect of it. 2/3, you should know, as an MSP, you should know why people want to talk to you. Not only how or why they selected you, which is of course important, but also what drove them to that point in the first place. And like I say, in our area, a lot of it, majority of it has to do with they just had a bad experience with the other guys. And it's kind of like, the breakup. We don't want to be the rebound MSP. Okay, we want to be the one who actually has that relationship, and they sit back and they like us and they move forward. And I will tell you, and Robin, I hate to admit this kind of goes against some of your recommendations. We have a 30-day out contract, okay, which is a great communicator with us when we're talking to these guys, saying, hey, look, if it doesn't work out, we're going to let you go. And
actually, that's not really even against my recommendations. It's
okay.
That's a whole other discussion, but I don't disagree with that entirely. It depends on strategy behind it, but the reality is if a client wants out, they can get out, one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fun part is that well over about 2/3 of the clients who have left us have come back. Okay? And the ones that didn't come back, honestly, half of those we fired them, not the other way around. But that's a side point. So we want to position ourselves with that we're different. We actually are going to talk with you. We actually, when we show up, we're not here to sell you something. We're here to partner. And to be able to add something in our initial offering that immediately adds value is incredibly compelling, especially when there is not a huge amount of time on our part to do that. Okay? And this is kind of freaky. It almost doesn't matter what the reports find. What I mean by that is that it's the relationship building. The fact that we find, if we find stuff is absolutely healthy, we're going to come back and say, actually things are pretty healthy. Look at this information. And the other points you can kind of see in that aspect. So give us the insights, okay? We know low-hanging fruit. We know the risks that are, the more obvious ones. We know that out of the way, out of the gate. Opportunities. We still have, actually this year, we have seen an incredible increase in project work. And what we do is, as part of the project work, and this is, a lot of Hyper-V and 2012 and all that kind of fun stuff, is we include a month worth of monitoring and we do the network detective, and we tell them we're not going to charge you anything for this. We just want to make sure everything's going to be okay. And by the way, here are the results, and you're welcome to look at it and take a look and enjoy. And so far, in 2/3 of those instances, we've at least walked away with monitoring. Because we were monitoring the new servers, but oh, by the way, we just noticed that your Active Directory is kind of corrupt. You might want to have somebody take a look at that. Okay? A couple of things we're actually getting into now, because it's evolving. And we're actually a little bit on the weird side in many ways, not the least of which is my lack of PowerPoint skills. But we actually have a couple of clients where we are SQL MSPs, where they already have IT departments, but we handle their SQL clusters, high availability, replication models, all that kind of fun stuff. And we feel that there's a great market out there for SQL, specifically SQL MSP. And the new module, which I think Merkel or these guys will talk about in a little more detail, really, this is going to be cool. I just got my hands on it earlier this week. So we're going to do our first assessments over the weekend. But part of what we're looking to do is we're looking to actually have that annual review. So we make sure in the month of December that we go out and we have pretty cool tchotchkes, but we do giveaways for our clients, and we visit them in late November and December, and we're talking about actually putting together a thumb drive that has their network detective reports on them. You know, haven't quite decided if we're going to do that or not, or how we're going to do that, but you know, so not only is it great as far as the assessment goes, but it's also great as far as deltas, what you can see. And I would also say that it's kind of like with antivirus, no antivirus product. I think, Mark, you were saying this, no antivirus product actually protects against everything. No RMM tool is going to report every specific aspect of it either. And most RMM tools actually don't do great as far as what I would call business owner presentations, which this does well. So it's just another tool in the tool belt.